And being in a relationship has taught me many things.
Oh.
And one of those things is that intention does matter, but it's not everything, right?
I guess what's the difference between just saying, hey, I'm offended, I know, I apologize, or I give you guys grace? How is that not a firm position to take? What do you expect Christians to say or do in a situation like this?
That we're a product of the times of the previous generation.
Of the previous generation.
Right.
So we are the generation after baby boomers.
Right.
They have their financial views on money and what things cost because of the era they're living in. We have views of what the show is now that we're living in. So what are we going to be passing on to our children? You look dark.
My name is Dark.
You look so dark.
Call me the underside of a chicken because I'm dark meat. I spit in bars and eat skeet skeet.
This is the intro.
We're recording this?
Let's cut it down.
Oh no, I don't like that at all.
Let's cut it down.
Like, can we redo?
Let's cut it down. It's lovely. 5, 4,
3, 2, 1.
Learn things that you want to learn.
I got a fun fact for you.
Hope you learned something like that. I hope you not.
I'm an idiot. If you have any questions, don't ask us.
Welcome to the Idiots Experts podcast. I'm your coach, Justin.
I don't like this podcast anymore.
What's your name?
My name is George, I guess.
Hi, and every week we try to cure our ignorance by learning as much as we can.
And it's usually not much, but dude, can we redo that?
Everyone just found out how much you're on your phone and how your brain works when you're not on camera. Dude, you thought you weren't on camera. Skeet.
Dude, I hate that you're the editor of this podcast because
we have a lot to talk about today.
There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, I have some current events. Do you have some current events?
I don't, because I figured we're just gonna talk about your current events, and I have some thoughts.
You have some thoughts?
I got some thoughts about.
Okay, so recently,
but I only have one girlfriend. She is the love of my life, and she's all I care about. I don't care about other thoughts.
You earned already brownie points.
Dude, I'm like, that's the goal, is to just plug that in as soon as possible because she watches every episode.
Every video? Yeah, that's okay. I guess you have to show love to your only viewer.
My only fan.
We get
That was good.
That's not bad.
That was good.
I don't do that content. But anyways, yeah, so Olympics is happening right now.
Yeah, and describe it to the people what happened as the opening ceremony in France.
It's very artistic.
That's what they're calling it, yes.
Colorful. And it was very showmanship. You know, there was good theatrics.
Can I ask you something?
And sure.
Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it, no.
Yeah, me either.
I watched a little. Oh, okay. I didn't watch the whole entire performance. Like China, when they did the Olympics, I watched the whole thing. It was lit.
You know that?
With the drums. Their theatrics, 10 out of 10.
France?
I don't think I've seen anything. France was, I could just say it's not my taste. That's all.
Okay, cool.
That's all. And not to say it was bad or good. It just wasn't my taste. Okay. But yeah, so there's been a lot of controversy on the opening.
So I know that you won't share your opinions on it.
Oh, I will. Trust me.
You said you won't. You said you thought it was.
No, you artistic. Said personally, I didn't know. I can't label it good or bad.
Okay. I'll label it bad immediately. I got no problem saying that it was bad. Not only can I say that it's bad.
Okay. The whole controversy is that there's an act in the show towards the end of it where there's a bunch of characters on a long table, and obviously there's some drag people, there's some just performers. It's just very flamboyant.
Can I add some context to?
Sure.
Earlier it wasn't just that one scene. I mean, even before that, they had certain characters that had wings and horns that were like flying around, and then the table that you're describing that everyone says is supposed to mimic Leo Angelo.
Wrong
person.
Ball? What did he draw?
Last name is David, I'm pretty sure. Right?
LiAngelo Ball.
LiAngelo Ball, who painted the.
Which everyone doesn't know. George is a huge Ball supporter. which is weird. But
I like
love the
balls, man. The Ball brothers are
all three of them. The dad, huge fan. But
big
anyways,
fan. But going back to the topic,
Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonardo da Vinci. I thought it was something David. I thought it was
Okay.
Michelangelo's David,
No,
something
no.
like that. Whatever. It's supposed to be a reenactment of them, but what I heard, I don't know if this is
The
accurate
Last
or not.
Supper, when you say them.
Oh yeah, Last Supper.
Yes.
But the people that were reenacting were supposed to be Greek gods. So,
That's the huge controversy.
yeah.
And I dove in to kind of figure out what this reenactment was supposed to be. So the director and the organizer actually said, "Oh yeah, it's not. We weren't trying to reenact the Last Supper. We were trying to reenact the feast of Dionysus."
hmm
And I kind of just figured out, oh, what is this feast of Dionysus? Which I think it kind of makes sense. It's Olympics, first
Yeah.
Greek, Athens.
Which I was
That's
for.
where it originated
Yeah.
from. So they try to choose a Greek mythology theme or just add it on to their show.
Which I'm cool with.
So it's the Dionysus is the Greek god of wine. So he celebrates, and they do a feast in, I guess, Greece or even back then annually, where they throw just a huge party. Everyone drinks and everyone's included, and it's just a fun time. And so, yeah, like you said, in that last act that everyone is saying it's supposed to mimic the Last Supper, it was actually the Greek god Dionysus, the blue guy,
Yeah.
surrounded by a bunch of Greek gods, and they're celebrating.
Which, from my recollection, he wasn't the main character. Like, he wasn't in the center. It was some other person that was in
At
the middle
first,
that had
and
like a
then he
halo.
was at first, but then he's supposed to be the center.
Okay.
It's his feast,
Right. But,
or honored. He's honored in that feast.
right. And then funny how he's not the center if he's the one who's honored. Funny how the person in the center has a halo like effect the way that Jesus is portrayed in a lot of
That was
Christian
supposed
videos.
to be apparently the halo. It was supposed to be representing Apollo, the sun. It was supposed to be a sun. You know the story of Apollo going sun.
Oh, I get it. I'm just like, a lot of the representations seem to be very convenient. Like, oh, we didn't mean to. Oh,
I don't know
that's-
about conveniently. So here's why I dove into more, right?
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off. France is 51% Christian, more so Catholic.
Yeah.
And then it says, I dove into some stats, 18 to 50-year-olds. Of 18 and 50-year-olds in France, 45% claim to be agnostic.
Sorry, say that
No.
again. Say that stat again. How many claim to be agnostic?
From 18-year-olds to 50-year-olds,
Yeah,
45% of that group
of that group.
claim to be agnostic in France.
And agnostic just means that they believe in a higher power, but not necessarily.
Either atheist or agnostic.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a
Yeah.
split. But yeah, agnostic means you acknowledge a higher power, but not
but
necessarily Jesus and
or any religion in general. Just
And- oh, yeah,
just
any
that
religion.
something exists, but you don't know what it is.
Right. With that being said, if I thought France was a more very Christian country,
Mhm.
I would think they were leaning towards trying to represent Christianity in terms of their figures and messages in that show.
Here's where I struggle with that idea,
Oh, okay.
and I haven't thought about this idea enough to dissect it, and I might get in trouble for it. And hey, you know what?
Ignorant.
What else is what else? Yeah, put it down in the comments if you have something the opposite of my viewpoint, right? But
Yeah.
essentially the trans community, which is this isn't necessarily trans, but it was a play on cross dressing or
Drag. Yeah.
The drag community, which is I'm not gonna say coincides with, but is oftentimes grouped in the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
Is very much, I would say, a lot of times in contention with Christianity because they put down, well, I'm not gonna say Christians put down, but
It's both sides.
yeah, they fighting, they beefing. Okay, they got
beefing.
beef, they got
Yeah.
beef, right? And then to try to mimic that and bring that thing into Christianity, I think is
What do you think they were trying to bring into Christianity?
well, I think they were making personally.
Yeah.
The way that I viewed it was they're making fun of Christianity. They're using their platform to tell a story that more coincides with the story that they want to tell. I don't know if that's true or not.
Interesting.
I don't care. I think more
Sounds
important.
like you care.
No, I'm saying more importantly, the actions show that it was mimicry, and that whether or not you meant offense, you did offend.
That's hard. That's hard for me.
It's not hard for me.
That's hard for me. Whether or not you had the intention to offend, you did offend. So you should pay for it.
Yeah, but see, here's the difference with my train of thought versus what I think a lot of other people's train of thought is.
Okay.
Right? A lot of people say you have to apologize. They say that you have to acknowledge that this was a mimicry of Christianity and that what you did was a wrong thing. You have to.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I mean, I disagree with all of that. Sorry.
Okay.
So what? You want to mimic Christianity? You can. You want to be disrespectful? You can. You want to apologize? You can. You don't have to. Right? But
Okay.
for me, I was just like, this is very clearly a very offensive thing to me, or at least to Christians. I'm not going to say to me. And if it was any other religion, no one would be like, they wouldn't have done that to any other religion.
Okay. First of all, I think attention for me plays a big part. And when you say they wouldn't do that for any other religion, but they would do it because it's Christianity, tells me there's intent to mimic Christianity, which for me, I didn't see that. Not to say that was right or wrong, but
Sure.
for me, I didn't see that there was a mimic of Christianity. It does suck that, the long table, and then people definitely interpreting it. And once you hear people, when you post headlines and stuff like this that say Olympics mimic Christianity, it just flatline, this is what it is, then everybody just reads those headlines and is like, all right, this is what they're doing. And so it sucks that you kind of have to do more research and figure out, is it true? Is it not? But I had to wrestle with this because I was talking to actually about it.
Oh, you need to think of a name. You can't dox her like that.
Oh, damn. Okay.
T-Rex?
No.
Mine's Bronchosaurus.
Yeah,
so.
yours is Brontosaurus. I'm just going to say, Yatta! I'm just going to make a noise and it's going to beep out. Anyways, I had to wrestle with it because at one hand, so their feasts, right, included pagans. That's the Greek mythology.
Mhm.
And so not only did they have Greek gods, they had pagans. And I can see how including pagans in relation to anything that is Christian, obviously, if you're trying to put those two together, it's like, no, we're not trying to be pagans, right? Don't include anything that's celebrating and like all this sexual or anything that pagans were described to constantly be doing in their behavior. Don't relate that and be like, oh, this is also Christianity. I get that part.
Sure.
I get that part. The other part of me goes, if drag queens and they have a culture of theatership and I don't think that's a word, but theatrics and showmanship, if they put on a, separate from this Olympics, if they just did a representation of a story in the Bible or anything related to Christianity, is that horrible?
Is it just a Christian play?
Yeah. But they're drag queens.
Yeah, people will be offended by that. Yeah.
I'm not asking you specifically, personally.
Me
Do
specifically?
you think that's bad?
It depends on how it's done.
Because I think to myself, can drag queens be Christian
Yeah, for sure.
and express their love for Christianity in any way they not any way, in a way they want to? Now, intention plays a part. Obviously, you can't offend sexuality and like grotesque, like gratuitous sexuality.
Or just something in opposition of what the preachings are.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I guess the theatrics, the dance, the costumes, all that stuff, I had no problem with it, even if their intention was to mimic Christianity or pay homage to Christianity. But I just see it wasn't.
Let me tell you why I disagree.
Okay.
And being in a relationship has taught me many things.
Oh,
And one of those things is that intention does matter,
Yeah.
but it's not everything, right? I don't intend to piss off the love of my life. Oftentimes, I'm doing things to try to make her happy. I'm sure that they had positive intentions when they were mocking Christianity, or I'll call it mocking.
okay.
But at the end of the day, I did something that hurt this person, whatever this example is. I'm sure if those of you who have been in a relationship can understand. You have good intentions. You do the act turns out it's offensive,
Yes.
right? Now, what they did was, by my regard, and by, I would say, a lot of Christians' regards, offensive. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm not saying that they are terrible people for doing it.
Okay.
I'm saying that it was offensive. I don't particularly care to watch this year's Olympics because I'm just like, hey, you make fun of my religion, something that I hold very dear. I think it's time that Christians develop a backbone and just say, cool, we're out. Like,
Okay, I'm going to hardcore disagree with you. I'm going to hardcore, and I'll tell you why. I think intention is everything. I think intention is everything. If you want to bring it to relationships, again, I feel like I'm in the same boat with you, Michael. My intention. I'm trying to make my fiance
have a good time,
wife, the happiest she could ever be. Right. I have never had an intention to be like, I purposely want to piss you off, but it just unfortunately happens sometimes. I get on her bad side. Now, if intention is always in play, then grace is always given if you can understand someone's intention. If I mess up and piss off my wife, I would hope if she could understand my intention, she would give me the grace.
Keep hoping. Keep hoping.
Not be mad.
And that's what I'm saying, guys. That's what I'm saying. They can hope we don't get pissed off, but it's time for the Christians to develop a backbone and stand up.
I can't tell which topic you're talking about right now.
I mean, the Diocletian.
Now, here's the thing with Christians in the Olympics. I think because the director and the organizer, it could be PR, but all you could do is just take it from what they say. They said they apologized. They had no intention to have any Christian. It wasn't the Last Supper. It was supposed to be this. That's what they said out loud. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm going to take. If people will still get offended, even though your intention was not to offend. But now you know that, give them grace. Are we not supposed to forgive?
So let me ask you something. And we'll bring it back to the relationship concept.
Sure.
Are you invalidating her feelings?
Oh, see that. You know what's hard? I'd love to have this conversation, but the word that you just said is triggering. So let's try to review.
Let's go with the triggering.
Let's not say invalidate or trigger. Okay. Let's try to use some. Let's bring out.
Let's be logical.
Yeah. And try to use different words. Okay.
Listen, like I said, I have no issues with the fact that they did it because they're entitled to perform, say, and do whatever that they want.
Okay.
You speak on the sense that they have the intentions of being artistic and showing this. I don't believe that they did. I do believe that they have a negative intention.
Why? What fact has led you to believe so firmly that their intention was to clearly mimic?
I guess because I've read, or at least the media that pushes narratives my way. I won't hide it, right? Okay. They paint a picture of like, this is very clearly a depiction of Christianity, or at least what they were trying to portray, of like the blending of the two of pagan and Christian beliefs. And like I said, if regardless of whether it's offensive or not, like they have the right to do it, but I also have the right to not support it. And I have the right to be like, listen, you do your thing. I just generally don't believe in what you're doing, and I'm going to back out of this. Actually, and I think what really makes a difference is money. One of their biggest sponsors, which was like this telecommunication company, is like the 6th largest telecommunication company.
Okay. Pulled
out as a sponsor of the Olympics because of their ad or because of their opening ceremony. Or whatever.
Okay.
And I think if that didn't happen, I don't think they would have apologized at all, and they would have just been like, "Suck it up."
That's an assumption.
That's an assumption. But regardless,
I don't think I would assume this another assumption that they would have apologized based off of the public, not so much the money.
I think no, I don't. I think that
because PR image is everything.
This is my own little frustration. I get this vibe that like Christians are looked at as like the forgiving, wholesome, like. Everyone be kind to one another, forgive everything all the time.
Are we not supposed to be?
We are, and we are supposed to be.
Then what's this but that I keep hearing, or I think it's coming?
At what point do you say something? At what point do you
give grace? When you say something, when you say, when is it time to say something? I feel like there is a an aggressive or firm type of response that you're thinking of.
There's a certain, no, not that there's a certain response, but that at some point you're condoning it, you're allowing it. When you provide grace is something that we are given because we're not worthy of forgiveness. Grace is something that God gives us because, and for any of those who aren't religious and don't care about grace or any of this stuff, think about it as, yo, I screwed up, like, and instead of you paying, imagine you go into debt. Instead of
so many thoughts.
I know I have so many.
Pick one. Pick one analogy and go through it.
Instead of you having to pay back your loan, the bank's just like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Right? You did something wrong. You acknowledge that you did something wrong, and the bank's like, you good.
No. Let me. No.
You don't think so?
No. I'll take that analogy, right?
Okay.
Now there's fees and you get punished for not paying back your loan right away, right?
Sure.
Grace is saying, hey, I'm not gonna punish you for not paying up, but I need you to pay these loans when you can. Saying, yes, I'm not gonna punish you for the things you've done, but repent or apologize and find it in your heart if people are saying that they're hurt.
Totally disagree with you, and I don't want to get too deep into this because it's a different like side topic for this conversation.
I think it's great though. I think when I think of back in those days when you hear, when you either read the Bible or you learn about saints and you talk about giving grace. I mean, their lives, they knew they were going to die. Are they inciting riots? Are they telling everyone, let's fight back to the Romans who were bogus? I've kind of find a PG word, but like
bogus is a good one.
Bogus or ruthless.
Bogus is a good one.
Giving grace to them and still even praying for them. And do you think that is viewed as weak or / condoning their violence?
No, because they stood up to them.
What do you mean?
So a lot of the people who were martyred, people who are saints, right? They weren't like, you're killing me for my belief and okay, I'm ready to die. Some did, actually. Some did. But many of them were in court. Many of them protested the decisions that were being made.
Okay.
And many of them were like, no, you need to change your mind. You need to listen to the one true God, all this stuff.
They protested in the way of, please let us be free in practicing our religion.
I mean,
stop murdering us.
No, some of them even went as far as to be like, yo, you need to convert. You need to change.
Sure. But I guess what's the difference between just saying, hey, I'm offended, I know, I apologize, or I give you guys grace? How is that not a firm position to take? What do you expect Christians to say or do in a situation like this? What do you think is them standing up on their...
What you're saying is completely right. I'll back down. I'm
just curious. What do you think Christians should do?
That's the part that I struggle with, because in my heart, I generally just be like, yo, if you truly did not mean it that way, and you truly didn't intend to have some kind of offense, then all right, cool, we're good, right? But I just don't believe that, and I think a lot of people don't believe that.
Yeah, isn't that sad?
Not really, because I promise you,
not really. That's not sad.
Do the same thing with Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, where you're mocking other people's gods, and tell me the kind of backlash that they would have received.
Okay, this is another thing of like comparing, as if, say another group of people, if they were mimicked and they rose and took maybe more of an aggressive approach, and they're like, oh, we should have done that because they would have done it. Dude,
having this conversation with you is literally my internal dialogue.
I'm just saying, you can't say like, because these other groups would have acted that way, we should have acted that way.
I'm with you. This is my literal internal monologue in my brain where I go back and forth, and I'm like, well, the comparison game's not cool, right? Like, we're Christians, we're supposed to be above it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we don't say nothing, like, how do other people know that it's wrong if we're just like, you're good, keep going.
How do
further?
No.
Further.
No, you can. Why can't people be assertive with how they feel but still gracious enough to forgive? Why is that always separate? Why is that always, can't I tell you, hey, I'm offended that this could have mimicked Christianity and this is what I'm seeing? And I hope you guys aren't doing that, because if you are, you have truly offended my entire belief system. And if not, then I forgive you. And I'm sorry if it came off aggressive. I'm not here to attack you. I just don't want that to happen and to be okay for out in the world.
I want to wrap up this segment, but
Okay.
imagine this. All right. And again, let's try to wrap it up.
Oh yeah, no, okay, go ahead.
But if every time someone does something that's offensive or hurtful or whatever to you, they're just like, again, intent matters, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oops, didn't mean it. Okay, I forgive you.
Well,
Oops, didn't mean it. Okay, I forgive you.
then your attitude of oops, didn't mean it, just from the tone tells me you don't truly genuinely apologize. I haven't talked to the director or organizers themselves. I could only go off words I see on the internet, but I guess my optimistic outlook tells me that they would apologize in a genuine way.
And there's a difference between an individual intent, an individual heart, and an individual experience, and the societal experience that we all have to have, right? This conversation needs to be had of like, hey, whatever that person's intent was, he's remorseful, he's whatever, right?
Okay.
But there's a lot of people out there who believe it's like this is okay or that this is right. And the conversation still needs to be had like, hey.
Oh, hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to keep talking about
Damn it.
I'm sorry.
Yo, okay, this is going to be another week where I just put my topic off to the side.
The point you just made, right, is exactly a huge problem that I see, okay? It's the same thing with generalizing one person because of followers or people who align themselves, right? So fine, the director says, organizer says that he wasn't doing it. But a bunch of people said that it's okay that this happened. Because you're saying a bunch of people feel that way, you're saying the director caused that.
No, I'm not saying the director caused it. We have to acknowledge that it exists.
Yeah, but you vilify or you paint him more of a negative light because you're saying, look, this was on display, which caused so many people to think that this was okay.
No, I'm saying I don't want to put gather my thoughts, right?
Okay, let's gather
I'm
them.
gonna pretend you're not the person I'm thinking you are.
Okay, okay.
That person, the director, the person who created this, what do you call it? Play or show, whatever. He can have his own individual intent and his own individual ideology.
Okay.
Society as a whole also has an identity. Like, we are formed by the society that we live in. And if no one claims that this was inappropriate or wrong, it gives free reign to continue it and push it.
Okay, so people have said that it was wrong.
Yes.
Society, Christians, I've seen everywhere on the internet, have said that it was wrong. This guy apologizes.
Yes.
Now what?
You can forgive him if you choose to, if it's in your heart or whatever.
Okay.
Right? But does everybody else see it the same way? Does everybody else just be like, no, you Christians are just sensitive?
Okay.
Right?
The only way you think this balances out, right, is if you know a majority has a consensus of the other side that this was wrong.
The way that I see it, and this is why I have a very hard time articulating my thoughts, is that there is no solution. This is not a thing where we come to...
Okay, not so much a solution, but the fact that you would feel better, you would feel there was more justice if the majority, not Christians, because obviously Christians would feel this way, not the other people who thought it was okay. The majority consensus of them would be, okay, actually it wasn't okay.
No, I would feel better, which is what's happening now, that people are saying, hey, this is wrong. A lot of people are saying, hey, this is wrong.
Okay.
And those who are saying, no, it's right, are also being heard. Because some people, again, are just saying, you Christians are overly sensitive. This was a show, even if it was
Wait, hold on. I'm basically saying what you said, but you said no.
Oh, okay? No.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. You would feel better, not the Christian side, talking about the people who said that, hey, Christians, you are being overly sensitive. They weren't even talking about the Last Supper and blah blah blah. That group of people,
Sure.
you would feel more better, and there was more justice to say, okay, I acknowledge that this was bad, even though the intention wasn't there. I acknowledge this was bad, and it was wrong, because taking Christianity and putting it in this type of play and having those characters, blah blah, was wrong.
Yeah, if you can acknowledge it's wrong, like,
Okay, my issue is, right, now you play a game of the other side, or the people who are directing and organizing.
so much for wrapping up this segment, guys.
Was my intention. I didn't even choose. I wasn't trying to mimic the Last Supper. I had no Christian elements, and I apologize for if it did offend you.
Yeah.
There is no more action
Let me ask you something.
besides someone forgive and we move forward.
Let me ask you something. And this is a debate that's had in literal art, right? So this is a little bit of a side tangent.
Okay.
Is the intent of art and the expression of art, is it based on the creator or the receiver? Dang.
It's,
Deep.
No, it's not that deep.
Deep.
It's not that deep. If you truly, if it's not that
You're
deep,
right. No, a bunch of people have this debate constantly, but it's not.
no,
deep.
if you had the source, and he tells you this is my intention with it,
Sure.
versus if he tells you, oh, my intention was for it to be open to interpretation, that's two different things. Now, if he has a specific interpretation, then if you know, and that's known to you, that's how you're supposed to be taking it.
And this is where I will tell you, I appreciate your thoughts. I think that what you're saying isn't wrong. I just also think that it isn't right.
Okay, I'll wrap it up.
Okay.
I just think we need to forgive. We need to give grace to those who, regardless of what you think they might have done or wanted to do, give grace, forgive. It's all.
I'm
That's
cool.
the whole point.
I'm cool with forgiving as long as we take the right actions moving forward.
See, that's weird to me. Why do you need a stipulation for forgiveness?
I don't need a stipulation for forgiveness, but are you remorseful if you keep doing the same thing over and over?
Are you remorseful for doing the same thing over and over? I think we just have to leave it there.
That was a good topic. I hope that anybody who watched this can make up their own minds. And like I said this in the last episode of the podcast. Go get your own sources. Go find your own information. If you disagree, I would love to hear about it. The whole point of this podcast is to kind of change our minds and see where we're wrong, grow from it. So if you got your own thoughts, put them in the comments below. And I might roast you if you're just completely off.
All right, sorry that took forever.
No, it was good. I liked it.
What did you want to talk about today, George?
So I read a book. The book is called The Psychology of Money.
Okay.
And it gave me some insight about money, how we view money.
It's like a sociology book.
Dude, when I picked it up, I thought he was going to tell me how certain people view money and how like you can kind of like make more. I was really hoping.
You thought it was a make more type.
No. The book was very clear. This is how you think about money, right? I was hoping maybe I stop having a poor mindset because I'm very poor.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so that didn't happen.
Okay.
But it is a good book, and everyone seems to recommend it as like a top 5 book for
Finances.
For finance.
Okay.
I'll say that it was a really good book. I enjoyed reading it. I wouldn't put it in my top 5.
How long's the book?
Like 200 pages.
Ooh.
That's not. It's a very easy read.
Ooh.
Reading is hard, man. Let me tell you.
Give me like a 85-page book. I'm in it. I'm there.
Oh, come on, bro. Give me one book
there.
that's 85 pages. So that's fine. The cool thing about the book,
What?
it's 20 chapters.
Oof.
And the nice part, or maybe not nice part, is that each chapter is its own individual concept or idea.
I
So
hope
you-
so. if he had 2 chapters talking about the same subject, I'd be pissed. It's like, why is it chapter 2 and we're still talking about the same thing?
It's cool.
Well, you know what's cool about this book? The chapters are all different.
Why do I try, guys?
The That's so good. Yeah, I'm gonna pick this book up. Damn, you got me.
What I'm saying is,
Sold me.
they don't build on one another, right? You can go directly to the chapter on saving money. You can go directly to the chapter of not being an asshole to your podcast host. You can go directly to the chapter on inappropriate word that came to my head that I can't say right now. So that was cool. It also gives you a history of like the United States financial era, like starting from the 1930s when you go through like the Great Depression. All the things that changed throughout like World War II, how the economy changed and how like at one point you had
$1 trillion of debt to what's quadrillion?
well, we did. Yeah. So like it was one of the things that he talks about, right?
Pentakillion? I don't know what
we're at.
We're up there.
We're up there. But he talks about how we went from a economy that like doesn't believe in debt to an economy that like does nothing but debt. Like, check this out. Hold on. These are crazy stats.
Okay.
1945, America as a whole, like consumers, had $29.4 billion of debt.
Yeah, that's not bad.
In 1955, 10 years later, we had $125.7 billion of debt.
Yeah.
So we almost 5 times our debt in 10 years.
We think, because you know how like we got banks.
Yeah.
There must be some like, how do we know? There has to be some record somewhere higher up of international debt to be like, oh yeah, hey, there's a bill that gets sent to the White House.
There is
180 trillion billion whatever.
There is. And that's why we have like the senators and stuff trying to pass a budget, trying to allocate what money goes to where, paying off what bills.
Don't you think because we're so in debt, they would think, oh man, being in debt sucks. I wish the world would forgive my debt.
Dude.
And then they'd be like, oh wait, maybe we should do that.
The book actually touches on that and how it pisses me off. I get emotional talking about this stuff.
Debt?
Debt.
Okay.
Like we make mistakes and we go into huge debt. Banks make mistakes and they get bailed out.
Yeah.
Not fun. So that pisses me off. And then
Brown? Yeah.
Wait, what about Brown?
We don't get bailed out.
Oh. To be fair, a lot of people don't get. Everyone doesn't.
America.
If you're America, gets screwed. But what I found really interesting was like post World War II for a while, there wasn't really that much of a discrepancy between the rich and the poor. Like, yeah, you had rich. Yeah, no, and that really blew my mind. Like, yeah, they were rich. Yeah, they were poor.
Yeah, there's just a lot less billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's probably why.
The distribution of wealth in the United States was a lot more towards, again, like the middle class. And even though
sounds like a healthy economy, but whatever.
And how even though someone was richer than you and they might have like a slightly nicer car or something like that, for the most part, like appliances, things that you use were all pretty universal, and people couldn't see a difference between you and me, right? Like even though you're significantly wealthier than I am, better looking, more athletic,
intelligent,
browner,
better social skills.
Man, you're just
more organized, more responsible.
Right.
I learn better. I dress better.
Right. I'm saying I want to be you, essentially.
Okay.
It's why I associate so much with Asian culture.
Yeah.
It's why I eat so much ramen.
Between us,
yeah, they couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
It would basically just see brown, which back in the 1950s is probably all they saw.
Okay.
And he pointed out something that I believe to be true, but I don't know because I'm not that old. But he says that a lot of times we're a product of the times that we grew up in.
So the 1950s, like you were booming.
Yeah, so the 1950s, right when I had 4 children, all when I had a small loan.
You were there when the middle class was closer to the upper class.
Yeah.
You must have been living it.
When my dad gave me a small loan of $1 million.
Okay.
That were a product of the times of the previous generation.
Right. So we are the generation after baby boomers.
Right.
Where they were living it.
Where they were living a great life. And they were taught that all you have to do is put your money in the stock market.
save up $100, you could buy a house.
Yeah. And you live happily ever after.
Okay.
And now that we don't live in that economy no more, but that's how we're living psychologically.
But imagine, okay, so they have their financial views on money and what things cost because of the era they're living in. We have views of what the show is now that we're living in. So what are we going to be passing on to our children?
Exactly.
You can't do nothing, okay? You better stay in this basement and live here till you're 55.
I have a theory on this. I think the next generation are they the Gen Zers? We're millennials. So
yeah.
I think they're going to be one of the most like productive. Yeah.
I think they'd be more scared.
I think that we are scaring the crap out of them so much.
Yeah, so they think they have to save $7 million to live in a 1-bedroom.
Right. But they will. And like, they'll be pretty well off.
You think out of fear, it will drive them.
Some of them. Yeah. Some of them will be failures like most of you are now. If you're a Gen Zer.
Now I know your parenting skills. Got it.
Yeah. Fear. Oh my God. If people think that fear doesn't work, I mean,
I pray for your future.
Tell me why you don't break the law. It's because you're scared of getting a ticket.
No,
it's because you're scared.
I think it's wrong.
Why do you speed?
I don't.
You don't.
I don't.
Never once. You're better. That's why I choose to be you.
Yeah.
This is why I want to be like
take
you.
Bikes. I bike ride.
This man has an electric scooter that he generates himself.
Exactly.
Because electricity is the devil. But I didn't have time to go through, like, I'm not going to go through 20 chapters and like tell you what they're about. So like, if you want to read all 20 chapters, it's a really interesting book. So my favorite one was chapter 3, which was Never Enough.
Okay.
And he starts, I do want to say, like, this book has a bunch of one-liners and it's very emotional. So I probably won't do it justice because I never describe things properly.
Okay. But
when you're reading it and you read these stories, it has an impact on you. So one of the biggest, or one of the stories that stood out to me was there's this author whose name was Joseph Heller.
Okay.
So these guys are at this billionaire's party, and the author of the book is basically telling Joseph Heller how, wow, this guy has so much. This guy is phenomenal. Look at all the different things that he has. He's so wealthy, essentially.
Okay.
And Joseph Heller goes, yeah, but I have something that he'll never have. And he goes, what? And he goes, enough. And to me, that hit me hard.
That's a one-liner.
That was a one-liner. I reading that, I was like, what was enough? Like, what is for me a life where enough money is what I want? And what does that mean to have enough money?
Yeah, I guess, traditionally when you say enough, meaning you don't want any more.
Yeah.
But I think I view enough as like, I'm fine with this.
Yeah. It's
not so much that, all right, I said I got this money, I can just live the rest of my life. It's just like, okay, this is my income. This is my way of lifestyle. These are my finances. I'm just fine with this.
And it's okay to want more. Yeah, that's one thing that I want to point out is like, it's okay to want more. But he also goes into a story about another guy named Rajat Gupta.
Okay. Oh, I think I've heard of him.
He got pretty famous, not for good reasons.
Oh, okay.
So Rajat Gupta was a kid from India who had nothing. I mean, he was like no education, was born in the slums, worked his way up, eventually got an education, worked himself into the financial district, that kind of stuff. He like built wealth for himself, right?
Okay.
And he came from nothing and became a millionaire, right? He worked at...
okay, no, that was... Never mind. I was thinking of a different guy.
Different guy?
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to even make a racist joke there,
sorry.
but...
I caught myself.
Congratulations, you don't get canceled this episode.
Let's go.
But Rajat Gupta was a literal millionaire, right? He came from nothing.
Yeah.
And then became and sat on the board of Goldman Sachs. And while he was sitting on the board of Goldman Sachs, he found out Goldman Sachs was going under, and that there was a huge investor who was coming in to save Goldman Sachs, which was Warren Buffett.
Okay.
And being on the board, he got that information before anybody else. And he went to his executive buddy who works at a stock brokerage, told him what was about to happen. He bought a bunch of stock of Goldman Sachs before anyone else could.
Okay, insider
trading. They both get busted for it. Rajat Gupta goes to jail, and he goes from being worth hundreds of millions of dollars to basically nothing.
Okay.
He loses his reputation. No one trusts him. No one wants to talk to him.
Racist.
Or he just did a really bad thing.
Always put down the brown people. But
I mean,
it's fine.
That threw me off so I don't know why. I was just like, who am I speaking with right now?
That's okay. I'll stick up for the brown.
This is not the Justin that I know.
I'll stick up for the brown.
The Trump loving Justin that I know would have never.
Yo. You spelled mom differently. Just kidding. Anyways.
No, but I think one of the things that stood out to me in that chapter was why we always move the goalpost, right? So like he went from nothing to having something to being a millionaire, and then he still wanted to be a billionaire. Again, I have nothing against wanting more, but how far are you willing to go to get that more?
You know what? I think it's hard. You know why I think it's hard? It's because it's a mindset shift. The reason why he got to a millionaire is because he had that mindset of getting that much money, right? It's like Kanye West. There's a good analogy.
Yeesh. That's an analogy. Keep going. Let me know where you go with this one.
Okay, I got you. The reason why he was right about
Oh, buddy.
jokes.
I take back what I said about you not getting canceled this episode.
The reason why he was successful, because he was so unique in the way he made his music compared to everyone else was he saw a vision and he believed in himself so much that he's like, this is what I'm going to do. And so it's like, it got me this far in success. I'm going to bring that same attitude to every facet of life. That I think I'm just meant for something higher
more
and more. I'm meant to be this amazing and the one and this. And so when you get addicted to that type, or not even addicted, just like comfort that this is what brought me success, I'm going to stay here in that mindset because I just want to stay in success.
And this goes into literally the next chapter that I'm going to talk about after this, which is the ego. And man, like the ego to say that I am entitled to something.
Yeah.
I think that's where you can get in trouble. I think my takeaways from when I read chapter 3 of the book was one, to decide on what I think is enough. And I haven't really decided.
Okay. What do you mean decided? Are you trying to figure out how to or when?
I think there's certain metrics that as a human being and as a person who supports a family, that you want to be at. Like you want to be able to give and provide a certain life for your family. What does that life look like? Do you want to be the guy that can, give their children horses and tell them that like, buy their way into schools and things like that?
Okay.
Or is a nice home with each person getting their own room, like, which by the way will not happen in my family, y'all sharing.
I'm more so curious, you personally, okay, when you talk about, because you're giving more of a general, you guys need to figure out what your
for the audience, like figure out for yourself.
You personally,
me personally,
I know you haven't decided, but what's your thought process in trying to figure out what that is? Are you going back and forth, big house, small house, enough to provide my two families, like enough to like just double and cover everything?
Funny enough, the biggest factor for me is how many people I can take care of.
You said you wanted a basketball team or football team?
I wanted to have enough kids to have a football team. Yeah.
Okay, or a 5v5 Valorant team. Is that what you said?
I mean, just give me all, bro. Like,
okay, so
give me you're poor, you're sick, you're needy. Like I'm
huge family.
I want to have a huge family.
Okay, so what's your goalpost look like?
I want to be able to just provide not just for my family.
Okay.
But I want to provide a sense of community for the people around me. I want to be able to have functions and things that aren't easy to do, because those are the things that bring me fulfillment.
Okay, now here's a question for you. Creating that sense of community for the people around you. how much is it that money needs to be involved to increase? How much is a factor? How much big of a factor is money when doing that?
It's naive to say that it doesn't play a factor.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't.
But I think there's a reason why you have multi-billion-dollar nonprofit organizations, right? Because money does make a difference. You can make a bigger impact with more money.
Got a question. Your family is big. You have a big family. And that family had, what was it, 10, 11, 12 brothers, sisters? I don't know what it was.
Something like that.
15, 20, whatever.
Whoa, take it easy, all right?
Everyone had kids and stuff like that. And you have a church. In your upbringing, how was your sense of community?
That's a different one. That gets into...
Because how much money was in play in terms of your uncles and aunts and your parents coming up in your upbringing when you're growing up? But I believe, and I'm making an assumption here, you had a great sense of community.
Me personally, no. I know where you're getting your ideas from. I had to work a little differently.
But even okay, like not the whole entirety of you growing up, but the 65 years you've been here, like I would say at least 30 to 65, it's been like a great community.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And I mean, money does have a role to play in that, right? Like hosting people. I would love to host people more and have people over more, but it involves two things that I think time or money give you, which is time.
Yeah.
And the ability to buy food, cater, spend time with people, right? I can host events and have people over, but if I don't have the money to cater, right? I'm cooking myself. That's less time I'm spending with people.
I'm going to push back on you.
You don't have to.
I'm going to push back.
You really don't have to.
I'm going to push back on you.
All right,
Sorry.
keep going.
I don't think money is a big factor. And when you say I need enough money to host, I just think of your aunts and uncles, and even back then, when I was very young, my aunts and uncles, of hosting parties and potlucks, and there's ways to get together as a community with not a lot of money. The problem is initiating, and someone has to put that together. That's what no one wants to do.
So I hear your pushback. I'm not disagreeing that money isn't like...
I'm saying it's not a huge factor.
Right.
You need money.
You need money, but you need... But here's
with low money, you could still do it.
And here's where I'm saying people can take this to the next level. Is it comes down to your own sense of self and your own sense of identity and what you want to provide for people. Yes, if my intent is to just have a community of my family, I don't need that much money.
No, it's more than that. Look at your church.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. If I want to be able to support my church, if I want to be able to raise up my church,
you need
my community,
a lot of money.
You need a lot of money.
No, you don't need a lot of money.
You need a lot of money.
You don't need a lot of money. When you're talking about your church, I don't want to blow up the spot. Your church, it's a community of people, a lot of people, and some may have a lot of money. I don't know, but it just takes a community of people to put just a little bit to raise that.
But again,
community up.
That's literally the point of this chapter. Is it's necessarily no one needs a lot of money.
Yeah.
There's a certain threshold that once you're covering your basics, your food, your shelter, your stuff like that. There's like an old study that they used to reference back in college that once you're making like $70,000 a year, I think with inflation or whatever, now it's probably like, 90, 100 or whatever. But once you reach that amount to cover your basic needs, more money doesn't affect your overall happiness by any means, right? So again, I'm not disagreeing that you need a lot of money to do these things, but it comes to yourself and your own idea of what fulfills you to see how much money you need and what your goal is. And that's what I'm saying. Figure out the goal for yourself. What do you want your life to look like? What is enough for you? What is enough?
I guess here's why I'm having trouble with it. When you are stressing that you need to figure out for yourself, the problem I have with it is trying to find that line of how much money I need to accomplish that. I go, it's obvious. It's so obvious to me that it's capable of creating that community with low money. So at least the money aspect of it shouldn't be hard to figure out. It's all the other categories.
So, can I ask you something? Right.
Oh, let's move on.
All right. So moving on to chapter. No. So, we'll take the example of a church.
Okay.
We have a bunch of people that all want to go to church This is a hard part that we had when I went to college at U of I. We had a group of students who were part of a church who had no building,
Okay.
and it was much harder. We would rent a building and eventually like go and pray and have Bible studies and things like that. But without a building, it made it significantly harder to build that community. Here, I have a building. I have a church that I can go to every Sunday. I know the people who are going. I can socially interact with these people. Do I need the building? No, I don't need the building. We still made it work at U of I.
Yeah.
But some things work better than others or make things easier.
Okay.
Do I want to have a community?
Push back on better. I was going to push back on the word better.
Let me rephrase on better before you get into it. All right.
Word police.
Some things are easier or make things easier.
Sure.
Right.
Okay. I'll agree with you that creating community was easier based on money.
Imagine my church, the one that I have now.
Yeah.
If we had a recreational center where we're not just meeting on Sundays.
Yeah.
Now the people in the community are meeting on Thursdays to play basketball where, you know, you break your ankles twice a week.
Oh, you break your leg.
Or I break my leg into 2 different pieces. Let me tell you guys a story, by the way.
Okay, I agree that money can make it easier, but better is a different. I guess I was taking it as better, as like, oh, if I have all this money, then it would make the experience of getting all my like friends and family together just so much better.
This is the last thing that I'll say on this chapter is that better really comes from a sense of self. What do you perceive as good and what do you perceive as bad? And again, it comes to moving that goalpost. You can be a community without a physical building. You can be a community without, but what do you want your life and what do you want to provide for the community and the people around you? Decide what that life looks like.
Yeah.
And then the other chapter that I really liked was about saving money. And one of the quotes that he throws in there.
That's hard.
Yeah, dude. He goes, there are those who can't save money and those who don't need to save money. Meaning there's 2 different psychologies, right? 2 different mindsets. You have the people who say, oh, I don't make enough. I don't have enough to save.
Okay.
And then you have those who are so well off that like, I don't need to save money. I'm good.
So you're saying that you are a can't right now?
I'm saying I'm a can't. And he basically roasts me. He's basically like, you are. I disagree. That I'm a can't?
I think I can save money.
Right. I think I can't. I think I'm poor. Bank account here.
Okay, because I think your expectation of saving money is like a large number of money to save.
Can you edit a bank account with like negative money, right?
I'll just get the Chase notification that like, hey, you are
withdrawn.
Yo, what you doing?
But the idea behind I'm gonna wrap up this chapter pretty quick, but one of the things that I really liked and what I took away was like you have to decide for yourself what your humility looks like. One of the things he says is one of the best ways to raise your savings is to not raise your income, but to raise your humility. Which was a liner. Once you're in it and you're reading it and like the pretext and everything else.
Like you're trying to defend it because you feel like I'm about to roast the shit out of it.
I think everything I do, you're about to roast. So
I can't just ponder it.
Nah.
I can't just think about it.
But I think he made a point that our ego controls our savings. How we see other people and we want to at least give off the impression that we have a certain limitation or a certain status
for society. But does my ego get in the way of me just trying to save money?
I think so. Probably.
You think so?
Probably. Imagine how many times you could have saved money if you put your foot down and said no.
Is my ego another word for significant other?
For happiness.
Because if it's another word for significant other, then it's hard. I would say my ego's in the way.
Yeah. Oh, buddy. Oh, you are so lucky. You are so lucky.
All jokes. But no, I guess, I mean, it's hard to find a balance because I would say my ego is it my ego because I want to go to KBBQ with my friends? Because there's a balance of, yes, I want to save money, but also I want to enjoy my life.
Right.
Is enjoying my life the ego side?
No, I mean, again, you personally have to decide what is it do I value more, and would I rather value this experience of going out to eat, or would I rather save the money? And again, I think that goes back to the original chapter of deciding what does success or what does enough look for me.
Okay.
And one of the ways he analogizes. Oh, big word. Analogizes that.
Analogizes.
I think that's a word.
Did you just say analogizes?
Yeah, it's the
What
act
do you
of,
think analogize means?
the act of creating an analogy.
Oh,
Dude. I think I just analogized.
You know what's crazy? I was gonna roast the shit out of you because I thought you were saying analysis, or I can't even say what
Yeah.
the word is. No.
Analogize.
No. He just makes an analysis. He
Synergy.
analyzes.
Oh, analysis.
And I was like, why did you throw a G up in there?
Give them a straight G.
Okay, he makes an analogy.
That back in the day, the U.S. used to have a giant oil crisis. We didn't have enough oil, and we were spending tons of money on oil. We're going to all these countries, blah blah blah. And his idea of the United States saving money was not that we bought more oil, that we used fracking technology to get more oil.
Right.
But that we changed the way that we live. We changed the way that we do things. We made furnaces that are more efficient. We made cars that are more efficient. We made laws to make cars more efficient.
Or how come we don't better our public transportation?
Yeah, dude, that's too much. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah?
And
Europe's
enough,
amazing.
bro. America is enough.
Europe,
all right.
Train system.
America said enough with the public transportation. All right. They said, dude, public transit is great.
It's garbage.
No. In the United States, it's garbage. I'm saying overall, public transit, if
In
it's
America?
No, it's garbage in the United States.
Okay.
I'm saying when it's built properly, if you go to New York, which is still bad, but like they have great subway systems. I can get around the entire city, no problem.
Yeah.
Public transit, I'm a big advocate for, which is like crazy to me because I really hated it at one point. But anyway, the United States changed how we use oil and created laws to force car manufacturers to be more efficient, homes to be more efficient. And the crazy part to me was that the United States today uses, or at least when he wrote the book, which was in 2020, uses less oil now than we did in the 1950s.
Right now?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or at least that we're 60% more efficient with oil than we were in the 1950s.
That is due to electric technology.
I'm just going to give it up to technology. He gives a more in-depth analysis on it, but
that's interesting.
not analogy, but analysis.
Why is gas prices going so up then?
Oh God, I want to get political. So, and that's my view on the psychology.
Someone needs to answer this question. I guess maybe next week then.
Tune in next week to see why. Actually,
gas is what right now it's like
maybe
460.
Maybe tune in
gallon?
November, and I will tell you why gas prices are so high.
All right. Well, that was a great topic. I think next week then we'll talk about maybe gas.
I'm so gassy. I have to go to a doctor before that.
I hate ending these. I hate
the transitions could be better. Huh? I set you up for that. Come on.
Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you learned something.
How are you gonna take my bit? How are you gonna take my bit of ending the episode?
Because you're crashing and burning right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of.
This ain't September. I think you might have to cut this part out.
I don't know what else I could do. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you listening to the podcast.
Ending already.
No, let me take care of it.
So I hope if you learned something. If you didn't, then I hope you laughed. So I'll see you guys next week.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to support the channel. Catch you on the next one.